is going to stick around.
And after severe weather affected northern states on Tuesday, we take a check-in on those areas that were damaged by tornadoes.
Plus, we go beyond the atmosphere into what's being called the new space age as NASA prepares for another groundbreaking mission.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Thank you for staying with us for First Alert Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt now joined by meteorologist Lauren Linehan and Tania Michelle. And welcome back to February.
I know.
Yeah.
It got cold pretty quickly.
Yeah. Tania's kind of dressed for spring right now, but then I saw when she went out on her dinner break, she got her big old parka and headed out the door.
Sure did.
That out the door checklist.
There
right?
you go.
Exactly.
I didn't know how to dress for today because it was warmer this morning. It's cold this evening. It's going to be cold tomorrow. Isn't that the next big thing that we're talking about, Wes?
It is the next big thing. Yeah, a lot of big changes on the way over the next few days. And here's a look at what we're tracking. What's next? We got some more rain that's going to come back tomorrow. It's going to happen late tomorrow. We've got the cold, we know that, but the wet weather is going to be making a quick return here by Friday, so just giving you the first alert. You can see that system approaching here from the west. We might get a few showers tomorrow afternoon, especially for areas to the south, but you can see the greater chance starts to fill in across Alabama there for tomorrow evening. So we'll see all that moisture lifting in, and it's going to be a steady flow of rain off and on tomorrow night and throughout the day on Friday. So be ready for some wet weather, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, but no severe storms are expected. Those storms certainly got our attention. The rain that moved through earlier today, that cold front, and you can see what a change here. I mean, we had 70s in some areas, and now we're seeing 40s to the north, but one of the more significant drop-offs in a day's time frame that we've seen in a while. You can see there are a couple of showers down around Rockford, but make sure tonight, again, it's time to adjust that thermostat again. I mean, we've had AC weather, and now it's time to crank up the heat. A little bit of rain still hanging on. It looks like a couple showers in the Coosa County around the Rockford area, but that's going to move on out of here and we'll stay dry for the rest of tonight. A lot of clouds out there. It's still windy. This wind has been a factor over the past couple of days, but finally you can see there is a little bit of an improvement here to the north. It's not as gusty. That north wind down to 12 miles per hour around Hamilton, and those wind speeds will gradually back off here through the remainder of the night, especially after midnight. It won't be as windy tomorrow, but again, the temperatures, big drop tonight. We'll see those lows down in the mid-30s, and that's why I'm concerned we're going to see some freezing temperatures in areas to the north and the east. As the team's been talking about, make sure tonight, if you've sat out the house plants to take in some of this warm weather we've had recently, make sure all those plants are protected and back indoors tonight, and check on the pets out there. It's going to be a cold night. Active pattern ahead. I mentioned a lot more rain. We've got the first set of or first round of rain coming in Thursday night and into Friday, and then we have another round of rain that's going to be moving in towards the start of next week. So we have several rounds of wet weather that we're going to be tracking coming up in our First Alert 7-day forecast.
Even though the wind advisory has now expired, the last few days of February continue to prove that March is certainly coming in like a lion. Our Brian Henry spoke with the linemen of Alabama Power, who said the breezy conditions have been keeping them busy.
No, you can't be afraid of heights, that's for sure.
And you can't be afraid to get buffeted around a bit when it's a little windy. Stanley Buchanan's been there, done that many times over his 9-year career.
You know, we got called out last night.
But he always keeps one thing in mind.
We're meant trusting the safety measures in place and go up and do our jobs.
A job that includes handling a 1,000-pound pole, stringing lines, and then tying it all together in a bucket some 40 or 50 feet in the air.
You can't be afraid of a little sway and things of that sort. And you got to be able to, you know, block stuff out.
Blocking stuff out, that became a mandate overnight when Alabama Power linemen answered 5 calls to repair or replace fallen poles just in Tuscaloosa County alone. Poles knocked down due to the high winds pushing down heavy limbs or toppling trees.
2 poles at the ground and broke the top out of another.
Weather records so far show sustained winds have clocked in on average at around 24 miles per hour in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Anniston, with gusts reaching anywhere from 36 to 41 miles per hour.
Again, because the wind blowing these trees down.
Stanley Buchanan has a healthy respect for wind.
Probably about 2 months ago, we was working, we was putting some wire back up in Buell, and it actually blew another tree down. About, it's probably about 100, 150 foot away from us, but you know, it got our attention.
Alabama power leaders say under no circumstances do they ever put their linemen in danger when it's windy. Buchanan says the threshold is around 25 miles an hour. Sometimes the job has to wait. At some point, the wind will settle down, but Stanley Buchanan knows another weather threat is always just around the corner. Another challenge awaits him in the bucket. In Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
Well, we first brought you this story yesterday as severe weather plagued parts of the upper Midwest. And we now know that the event produced nearly 30 tornado warnings and almost 100 severe thunderstorm warnings. Take a look at some of the damage left in parts of Illinois yesterday. Tornado sirens sounded in communities under the warnings late yesterday evening, and up to 10,000 power outages were reported. Fortunately, most local emergency managers say a majority of the warned area escaped the storms unscathed. But one community member speaks about what they did as the tornado moved through her neighborhood.
We took cover, we're in the basement, and I could hear how bad the wind was from the basement, and my neighbor's roof that was flying off, I could hear it coming into my yard. We, as far as I can see so far, don't have damage, but next door they definitely do.
The National Weather Service in the Quad Cities are currently surveying the damage to determine the rating of the tornado. Severe storms and tornadoes also leaving damage in Ohio. Take a look at some of the footage from Clark County, just outside of Dayton. The storm system also produced hail and torrential downpours, leaving thousands without power. Local residents are being asked to avoid certain areas because of the storm damage and down power lines.
And bringing you more information now on those wildfires in Texas. They have burned more than 500,000 acres since Monday. Fox News senior correspondent Casey Stagel has more.
The second largest wildfire in Texas history spreading across the state's panhandle on Wednesday. The Smokehouse Creek fire growing to more than 500,000 acres, forcing mandatory evacuations and extending its reach into Oklahoma. Texas A&M Forest Service says warm temperatures and strong winds have fueled the flames since they ignited on Monday. Fire conditions are expected to return on Friday, but for now, crews are hoping to take advantage of cooler weather.
A lot of significant activity, impactful activity up in the Texas Panhandle. With our conditions moderating a little bit today, we're hopeful that our firefighters are going to be able to make progress in containing these wildfires.
Smokehouse Creek is one of several fires burning throughout the Panhandle this week. At one point Wednesday, more than 10,000 people were without power due to the flames. Wildfires have been scorching rural towns, leaving behind piles of rubble where homes and buildings once stood. Local officials say they are assessing the damage and working to relocate residents who lost their properties.
They're trying to bring crews in and get basically scouting to see what level of infrastructure is damaged and then assess the most rapid way to restore that infrastructure.
Governor Abbott has issued a disaster declaration for at least 60 counties. That's the latest from Dallas. Casey Stagel, Fox News.
And across the pond in Australia, they're also dealing with intense wildfires that's forced tens of thousands of evacuations. Firefighters in the Victoria area have been battling a bushfire that started last Thursday and has since destroyed 6 homes. Hot, dry, and windy conditions are creating extreme fire dangers, and authorities fear that the weather conditions could potentially push the flames closer to more residential areas. This is being called some of the worst fire conditions that the country has seen in recent years. And in 30 seconds, February's not over just yet. Tomorrow is a special day of the year, and we tell you all about it. We'll be right back.
Well, it's going to be cold out there tomorrow morning. Temperatures back into the freezing range across many areas. Coleman, Hamilton, Aniana, not far off around Birmingham. Certainly you'll want to bundle up in the morning. Talladega flirting with the freezing point as well. Centerville around 37, Tuscaloosa in the mid-30s. Cold start to Thursday. It stays chilly during the day, and then we're going to have some rain coming back as soon as tomorrow night. More wet weather in that first alert forecast that we're going to be talking about. But also tomorrow, I know it's going to be cold and it's going to be dry during the day, but it's also a special day as we're going into a leap year. Yeah, so typically it's certainly a special day with respect to the weather, but it's also a special day with respect to the calendar. Let's check in right now with Matt and Mickey.
So today, obviously not the last day of February because tomorrow's a leap day.
We're leaping.
So do you know why we have a leap day or a leap year?
Well, it says it right here behind me, Matt, so the answer is yes. The Earth orbits around the sun a complete revolution. You think 365 days in a year. It's actually 365.25, so that's why we have a leap day every 4 years.
Yeah, so you'll see that every 4 years. So, of course, the next leap year is going to be 2028. And because of that weirdness, not a complete 365.25. So what happens to the quarter part of that calendar year over time? So really, when we have that leap day, it's just one extra day added every 4 years to stop those seasons from shifting. Because think about it, if we don't do this, it's going to throw everything out of, so this winter season might end up being at a different time.
I think the words you're looking for is cattywampus.
That was not, but we can let you use that word.
Right.
But this is why we have that leap day, just to have that balance so our seasons are always going to be happening when we have autumn and spring and all the above. So that's why we got February 29th going into Mars. So I decided, Mickey, I'm just a little curious since we don't see February 29th much. Got people who are born on this day. They can only celebrate it technically once every 4 years.
So I guess they don't age like the rest of us.
I guess so. I guess that's how it works. But since 1904, we didn't actually have a leap year in 1900, so this is from 1904 till present. So here's some of the stats I found. The warmest, February 29th, 77 degrees. That was set back in 1932 and 1976.
How about that? The coldest was back in 1920, 22 degrees.
And the wettest, not too wet, just 0.36 in Birmingham, set back in 1952.
My parents were celebrating that in high school, I guess.
There you go. So those are some of the stats for February 29th. Also, we'll note there were 2 indications of snow that happened on February 29th.
What? You didn't make a graphic for it?
Hey, a lot of research. I just want to let you know, 1968. Picked up a little less than a tenth, about 0.07 of an inch of snow. So not a lot, just a little bit. We also recorded just a trace back in 1984.
That's quite a leap.
There you go. So enjoy one extra day of the month of February.
Toodles.
All right, and again, rain chances coming back tomorrow night and more wet weather in our extended forecast. Plus, we're going to go beyond the 7-day forecast and talk rain chances. A lot to break down. That's next in First Alert Weather Extra. Stay with us. And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. All the wet weather's moved out of our area. We had a few leftover showers to the south, but those have moved on out. 46 at Coleman, 46 at Aniana, 46 at Haleyville, and 45 already for Hamilton. Those temperatures around Fayette and Hamilton, they're tumbling into the 40s, but what a turnaround. And tonight, we do have freezing temperatures in the forecast for areas to the north and east. You can see there tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. could be close to freezing to the north, to the east, but certainly cold enough for the entire area. Certainly crank up the heat tonight. It's going to be the coldest night of the week, and actually the coldest night that we see in our extended forecast. That's going to be happening out there for tonight. Maybe a couple of showers by tomorrow afternoon. There's 2 o'clock. You can see the new data showing a chance here for some of these scattered showers, and that chance, look at tomorrow night. Look at 8 o'clock there, showing a good chance at even around supper time and just past supper time there, rain moving in and temperatures in the 40s. That's a cold rain. So yeah, some yucky weather there through tomorrow night, and into Friday morning around 6 a.m. you can see 40s around 42 Gadsden and Coleman with rain. We'll have some wet weather impacts for the morning drive on Friday, but it's going to be off and on showers like this, maybe a rumble of thunder throughout the day on Friday. It's certainly going to be a longer duration event compared to that brief round of rain and storms that we saw today across the area. But you can see there Friday around 1 o'clock still showing some wet weather. I think some of these showers are going to stick around Friday night and also into the day on Saturday. So we did include a small chance for a few scattered showers on Saturday, but that's just the beginning. I want to show you rain chance breakdown over the next 6 days, and you can see the areas highlighted down the southern Mississippi, southwest Alabama could see over 4 to 5 inches of rainfall here over the next 6 days. But I really focused in here to kind of highlighted the 2 time periods when we could see most of the impacts there as far as the higher rain chances. And again, we highlighted Friday, that first alert for rain likely. Saturday, you can see the coverage not as great across the state at this point. I mean, it looks like just a few scattered showers, a greater chance early in the day. Rest of the day, we should mainly be rain free and through Saturday night. And then we get to Sunday, I think through the morning we're in good shape, but by the afternoon we could see some scattered showers, and then a first alert for that heavier rain coming back Monday and Tuesday and next week. And we could have a rumble of thunder as that next system moves in early next week. I'm not seeing a severe weather risk, but we'll keep an eye on it. Of course, we're getting into that spring severe weather season, so you'll certainly want to pay close attention to the forecast, especially when the pattern becomes active like this. We could even see some rain in a Wednesday of next week, but really no sign of this these off and on rain chances letting up right on through the end of next week as we go to meteorologist Tania Michelle. And Tania, I was mentioning earlier, you start to see this pattern. March is on the way. You get into that spring severe weather season. So important to keep a watch on the forecast and check in for updates, because that timing could certainly change.
Absolutely, yeah. Even though it looks like it may be some wet weather in our forecast, we need to pay close attention to the possibility of strong and even severe storms. Severe weather season here around Alabama, we've got to take it seriously. So if you haven't done this already, make sure that you have that safety kit and that emergency kit, and make sure you can identify your safe place. But looking at that first alert weather calendar, we've got lots of wet weather in the days ahead of us. Starting with Friday, we've got some cold rain moving through, and that's why you see that highlighted in red. We're looking mostly dry for the weekend. Next week, though, the first full week of March, we can see the chance for some stronger storms in our forecast. Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday, scattered thunderstorms cannot be ruled out. By Thursday, we get a break again. We've got this trend going on with drier Thursdays, but more rain as we approach the end of next week, Friday, and even into the weekend. We change our clocks Sunday. We move them forward, and then we're dry March 11th and the 12th with more rain in the forecast by March the 13th. Now, of course, as we get to the middle of the month, that's still several days out, so things can and possibly will change. So just keep that in mind. That's just an idea of what we're expecting. Here's that 8 to 14 day rainfall outlook, though. This is information or our forecast from March 7th through March 13th. Now, up north and west of the United States, looks like they could see below average rainfall. But for us here at home, we're still looking at more wet weather in our forecast. Now, what about those temperatures? Well, we could see more above average temperatures. So although it's going to be cold tomorrow morning, may not be cold But between March 7th through March 13th, we're starting to get into that warmer season. Now, our average high at this time of the year is around 62 degrees, and our average low is around 41. So this is basically saying that, well, we can see temperatures trending above 62 degrees and slightly above 41 degrees for our overnight low temperatures. But that's our forecast for here. But above the atmosphere, another successful moon landing along with the progress of NASA's upcoming Artemis mission. The spotlight is one on yet again for space exploration, and Michael Yoshida spoke to a NASA official about this new space age and what's ahead as humanity continues to reach for the stars.
For the first time in 50 years, a U.S.-made spacecraft touching down on the moon. The company behind Odie says these images released Tuesday are the closest observations of the area. It's of high scientific interest because it may have ice that in the future could be used for water fuel.
This is a gigantic accomplishment.
NASA, the main financial backer of the Odysseus mission, plans to send a crewed mission to the moon's south pole as early as September 2026 as part of the agency's Artemis missions. The goal, to establish a human base on the moon and eventually use what is learned to take the next giant leap, sending astronauts to Mars. On Earth, NASA Red Planet.
We already, send things to Mars, right? So a real complication with Mars is the human component.
A 4-person crew is currently living and working inside a 1,700 square foot habitat, simulating physical and mental challenges of a Mars mission.
Being away from family and friends for an extended period of time, living in a small space with other individuals for an extended period of time.
This research, combined with other work on the International Space Station and future lunar missions, will
tell us a piece of the puzzle that we can integrate and to help understand these challenges as well as test countermeasures.
I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Well, we have another and final look at First Alert Weather Extra right here after the break. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Stay with us.
We've been getting in some great weather photos today on the First Alert weather app before we send you out into your evening. This is from Peach Park from our friend Gay Craig. A beautiful view of those storms coming through earlier today. And fortunately, hey, the storms weren't severe. We always love to see that. We also have this view from Brookwood. Looks ominous, but I would say the storms were relatively well behaved.
Yes.
And hey, they're ushering in springtime, right?
Oh.
I'm in the mood for some peach ice cream now.
Me too.
Right? Every time I see that.
Peach ice cream?
Yeah,
Peach
homemade peach ice cream. Oh, all right, we got to take a trip to Clanton. I can see
We
right now.
will. We'll see you soon, Clanton.